Okay, so we're just looking at how the long patterns help us be able to play from the fret nut. So if we wanted to do that F as an Ionian, okay, we would start, actually it would be, if we wanted to play an Ionian E at that point, okay, or we could move the fret nut up, say you had a capo on your F like that. In my case, just to keep it consistent, so we'd have root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Okay, so the long patterns will bring us up there into the short patterns again. We have basically an S3 XL there to an S4E. Just starting on the E string shape, count up 4 string shapes, and that's our S4E, and then we go back into the long pattern there. So that's what's going on there. Today, because of the reduced resolution and short of time, to make another chart. Of course, we don't want to just go over to yesterday's chart. We can do that, but bouncing back and forth between charts can get your eyes tired. Okay, so we're going to stick to today's chart, and we're going to focus on just a brief explanation of these things. Of course, these are the string shapes up here, so it's just on one string. You go in fourths this way and fifths this way. So the fourth of D is, the fifth of D is A up here. Okay, so we skip every other letter to go in fifths, skip every other letter to go in fourths. Okay, if we go every letter going to the right, it's encaged. If we go every letter going to the left, it's D, E, G, A, C. If I play that on a piano, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. It's an ascending pentatonic scale in the key of C. So that's going to the left. Going to the left, we go in fourths if we skip every other letter of that. So it would be D, skip E to G, skip A to C, skip D. Okay, then we go to E. Now the fifth of C is G rather. Okay, but the fourth of C is F, but we're going to go to an E instead. Now why is that? So when I say we're going in fourths to the left, okay, which is, okay, thank you, Mr. Capo. He gets tired. So going to the left here, we go in fourths. Every other letter in an ascending pentatonic scale, D, E, G, A, C. Going to the right here, we go cage, C, A, G, E, D. If we're going to do every letter on the string shapes, if we're going to skip every other letter, so when we go to the right, we're going to skip every other letter in the pentatonic scale. Okay, so it would be D, skip E to G, skip A to C, skip D to E, skip G to A, skip C to D again. And we'll go to the right, we're going cage, so we go C. This is in fifths now. C, skip A to G, it's fifth. G is the fifth of C. Okay. Skip E to D, D is the fifth of G. Skip C to A is the fifth of D. Skip G to E, E is the fifth of A. Now when we go E, skip D to C, as you know, the fifth of E is B, but we're going to go to C. And similarly, when we're going the other way, instead of the fourth of C being F, we're going to go C, skip D to E shape. So it goes in a circle like that. Chuck's good dog always eats Chuck. Chuck eats all day. Good Chuck. Is the little Chuck the dog kind of way I got to remember it. Sometimes that helps me. Sometimes it doesn't. You can imagine. But there's a little story that a German Shepherd once was sitting on my back door, and he had a phone number on his collar. I called him, and his owner came up and in his van or whatever, the dog jumps, and I said to him, "What's his name?" And he says, "His name is Andy." So Chuck has a dog named Chuck. Chuck's good dog always eats Chuck, and then the other way, Chuck eats all day. Good Chuck. Okay, so that's a Chuck wagon thing. All right, so I've explained a little bit about the string shapes. Now we want to look at, we have the pattern stacks, and these are the raw pattern stacks. These are the smaller versions of the pattern stacks where we don't show the accidentals. We're just looking at the numbers. And in today's lesson, I don't think we're going to be using these parts because they're a little too hard to see, but trust me, it's the same thing. So if you have 2, 3, 4D here, it's 2, 3, 4D right there. So we're going to have to go with the more challenging kind of looking diagram. So this is root 3, 5 for the majors. That is not what that is. That is a mistake. So just let me get a little bit of yellow on my pad, and I'll just blank that out. That is not what it is. It's for the diatonic, it's root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root. See, this has already changed itself back again when we went and checked the other chart. So we'll just make the best of it. With pentatonic here, we've got root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we take out the 4s and the 7s there. And for the triads, we got just root 3, 5. Okay, and this is how it stacks up in a sparse fashion. This is a little hard to see, but this is the same thing. So we have 3, 5 root, 3, 5 root, 3, 5 root, and you kind of identify a pattern there, but that's a little much to digest. So I made it even easier, and I'll show you after we get through this. And of course the minor triads, instead of root 3, 5, we got root 3, 6 here. 3, 6 root, 3, 6 root, 3, 6 root. So it's a little more complicated than that. Then we have the long patterns. So we do the same thing. Here's the minor triads, root 3, 6. So it's just follow the white notes, root 3, 6, root 3, 6, root 3, 6, root 3, 6, all the way up the line. But in any group of 6 strings here, no matter what 6 strings you look at, you're going to have to warp the top 2 over. This is not warped. This is natural placement. This is natural pattern shape here. So in other words, if we started on a 2 here and we went 2, 5, root 4 there, we would have to bring the 7 over to where the R is. We'd have to bring this whole thing over like this. So, you know, it would actually be, if that was the case, we would do this. We would have to do this. Okay, that's where it would end up. So if we started on 2, which is the long pattern for the D. Now let's do that. I'm going to do it down here on, actually I should do it in the key of C. So where I have a D-shaped C, to be easier for me. Okay, you always want to make things easier, especially if you're teaching them. So here's a D-shaped C. Okay, I know it was second octave because it's the higher pitched strings up here. Now what we're going to do is start from this 2 down here. So what are we looking at? What are we not looking at? Let me just get rid of what we're not looking at here, and we'll take it from what we are looking at. So this is it. This is the long pattern for the D. I know it's hard to see. So we're going to start 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right into the long pattern. 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to warp up. Okay, instead of, it's 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do that again. So we play into that long pattern. Okay, so we've got an entire long pattern here. We've got an S3XL there, 4, 5, 6.